became so focused on something else. And so my takeaway from this has been to look back at what we have done correctly and reclaim that, be it the passion that we had for the business or the passion that the customer has for our product. We stopped looking at that, and you gave me tools. First off, you reminded me, which really helped, and you've given me tools to tap into that which triggers my customer, and I thank you.
Al, you gave me a lot of great stuff to start with. We got some great ads yesterday. Thank you. The whole thing was great. Thank you.
But you kind of get in a rut where you kind of almost project your feelings onto what you think your customers think, and that just, you know, and that's a rut you just keep going around and around with. And that just doesn't work, obviously. So that's an extra reminder to step back and step into their shoes.
I feel like I met my customer for the very first time as a human being, and what she goes through. I know, is that shocking? I deal with people every day, but what she goes through and what the background of her decisions are. And the funnest part of that was doing the playful exercises and getting feedback from all the people.
If I use the tools I've been given, I can go home, go to my office, and figure out how to reach Andrew. And that, to me, is powerful.
I was blown off course when I first came in, and I found out my key word wasn't even the word that was going to drive any traffic. And then just, I don't know, there was all kinds of things I'm processing and emotionals up and down and thinking, am I serving the right client? Is that my ideal client? How do I do it? And so I'm looking forward to processing this material further.
It's important to emphasize that this was experienced. We weren't just sitting here collecting information, we were experiencing it with the hands-on activities that I got to take part in today and will take part in based on what I can get from the first day. And then I think it brings a new brilliance to the whole industry that at times, being in it, I've been in it 5 years, not as long as some of you, that you get a little stagnant. And just listening to other people's ideas and creating a network of people's information provides a forum that I learned a great deal from. And I really appreciate the opportunity. So thank you.
This is super helpful, and I really needed to learn. I mean, I really needed to take the time to be creative, and it's actually probably the most creative seminar I've ever been to, where I was just able to you know, let our creative juices flow and learn from each other. It was just creative. It wasn't like anything I've ever been to.
I really got a lot out of the doctor-patient thing and putting myself in a doctor's shoes. And what was most interesting was, you know, at first we had question and answer where I was telling them about my business and my avatar, and then we were supposed to transition to, you know, to where I became the doctor and just answered or not answered questions. Funny thing is, I kept answering questions. I kind of forgot to transition, and Virginia finally just said, "Shut up and take notes." She was a little more polite than that. That's practically what she said, and that was the real turning point, because, you know, I still had answers to their questions, but by, you know, having to force myself to just say I mean, my mind was just reeling with feedback that I've had all along, but I've always thought I had the answers to it. And by just shutting up and taking notes and truly listening to those objections, I came up with tons and tons of ideas for headlines and ad copy and landing pages and so on.
A lot of people are focusing on the various exercises, but if you look up one level, I think you'll find that all of them through this whole 2 days had one thing in common. It made us shift our perspective, the way we look at things, and we cannot make changes until we shift our perspective. So I think that it was extremely valuable, all of them, making us look at things differently. Our ads, our ideal customer, the objections, everything. So the whole thing seemed to me to work really well together and getting us to look at things totally different. And the other thing that I think is extremely impressive, because I've been to a lot of seminars where there are 200, 300, 400 people in the room, 20 people in the room where you get to intermingle with everybody and get to exchange ideas and get to know people on a more than a name tag basis. You can't put a price tag on that. It's just invaluable.
There's been so much really high level information that's been passed on to us in a way that's just incredibly accessible, I think. And the personal engagement we get out of it makes it so easy to internalize because you're sharing it with someone else. It's such an easy way to learn and immediately see how to put that into action.
I thought it was great just to be able to take 2 days away and just concentrate on this, because I always have the best intentions of doing it and just never seem to actually get around to it, at least on a consistent basis. And I think the whole Avatar experience and just being able to work with people in totally different industries and hear their input, it gives you just a whole different outlook on what it is that you're trying to sell.
In the last 5 years of sales, I've tried to be in the customer's perspective, but it's so difficult. I don't know how to get in their shoes. And now coming here, and you explain how to, you know, shift your perspective, I feel like I can have 2 personalities, you know, figure that out. So I really enjoyed that. And also, the AdWords, when I'm looking from the customer's view, like what are they looking for? If it's emotional, then that's what they want to click on and that's what they're going to buy. So those are some things that I'm going to work on. And thank you so much.
I don't know a lot about this industry, and it really helped me to come from a place of kind of almost fear. You know, I didn't know what I was coming here for, to see that, you know, there are people like you who are so willing to share and be patient and understand people like us so that we can, you know, get to where we need to be. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And, you know, making it such an experiential event and an interactive event, it was so different because instead of like most workshops you go to where you're in a room full of strangers, you're in a room full of friends. And that it just felt like home to me. So thank you. I learned a lot and had a good time.
When you started talking about the Avatar, I hadn't seen the film. So again, I was sat there thinking, what is he going on about here? And then as soon as you explained how the film worked in relation to a persona, that kind of started me off. And then as we did the exercise, that's the best thing ever now, because I actually now know how to do that in my own mind, so I could go back into the office now and sit down, sit on the plane, do that type of thing.
You've stood back, and rather than just present everything and let us consume it, we've got involved and interacted, and it's been very much about what we're all about and how we interact with people. So I've got a lot of good stuff out of that, particularly from the Dr. Freud exercise, like a couple of people have said. To hear people come at you with a battery of objections and take all that down from their perspective is really, really useful. I liked also the positioning statement, which is a very, very tough exercise. And like you said about, if this takes just a few minutes to do or a short time, then it's probably, you know, you haven't done it right. That's a real difficult one, and I think that's a big one for a lot of people, really understanding your value.
I'm surprised to say that my biggest takeaway from this event is a renewed sense of confidence in myself. And I really didn't expect that. I thought that I would come here and get good AdWords ideas and maybe some good things to do to my landing pages, but this was a much different experience than that. What I think I've recognized is that there are a lot of ways that I've been holding myself back that I just didn't even recognize that I was doing. Hearing my ideas validated, ideas that I've had that I thought, oh, what a good idea, and then never actually took action on because I didn't have the confidence in myself to move forward and do that, was very, very powerful for me. Hearing you talk today, just now, Howie, as you closed the seminar, about how we can become stuck, you call it constipated in our businesses. I was afraid to really put myself in the persona that I knew I needed to be in order to make my business succeed. And I don't think I was recognizing that fear. And now I see it, and I think for me, when I see fear, that's always how I can move through it. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank all of you very, very much. This is really big for me.